Hi everyone, my name is Sienna and this is Sienna Reacts. So today we are back with my reaction to the Ultimatum Queer Love episode 6. Um, I have noticed that when I do longer videos, no one watches them, so I'm hoping to keep this under 15 and maybe that will be a better way rather than doing, I guess, like play by play, scene by scene. So let me know how you like it, if you do like it shorter or if you like it longer, let me know in the comments. Before we begin, I would appreciate if you like my video, subscribe, and then also comment along as we go. But anyway, let's go ahead, let's get started. So the episode starts out with everyone coming in for the decision day. They're all sitting at the table, they're all sitting next to their like trial couples or across from them, either one. Um, and the episode starts off with the host asking, who is it, Mildred and Aussie, how their time was, and Mildred's just like, "Oh, so do you want to say anything?" And um, Aussie, I guess, tries to be PC about it, and Mildred's not having it. She's not happy. They basically say that they did not complete the experiment. I do know, I guess, that they didn't tell their previous partners that they had left on like the day before, like the 2 days before. So it would, I guess, it was actually like a shock when they got to the table. But yeah, Mildred's not having the PC answer that Aussie had. She basically said, or Mildred said that Aussie had triggered her, like it had triggered her abandonment issues that had like started when her mom had like abandoned her when she was around 5. Um, and I do give Aussie credit. She does apologize for her part in it. There was Tiff on the side trying to instigate and be like, "Why did you leave? Like, what was the point in leaving? Like, why didn't you communicate? Blah blah blah." Right? Tiff was an instigator here. She was an instigator at the restaurant when they were at the tables talking to each other. I get that it's Mildred, but like, you're an instigator, but people let you by, and I don't like that. But anyway, Ozzy does apologize for the role that they played in the relationship, or like the breakdown of the relationship. Mildred doesn't really accept, but it is what it is, so we move on. Anyway, then we go on down the list of the different couples. So you have um, Tiff and Sam. They, I guess, like talk about how they've grown through this experiment, through this relationship. You also have um, Mal and Lexi, and again, I watch each episode twice, and I'm still very confused about how much they praise each other, and like later on they get into it, but like they weren't serious at all. It was literally just words, and I don't understand that. They're playing it up for the camera, and it was confusing how much they were like, "Oh, like she's great, she's XYZ, blah 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 blah." It was weird to me, to me. Then they move on to Vanessa and Ray. And yeah, they're like, "Oh yeah, they're my best friend, blah blah blah. Like, we've grown so much." You haven't grown at all. Like, you've realized the background of like what you've done or what you did, and now you're kind of screwed. Like, or maybe not Vanessa, but Ray went through this episode. She went through this episode. But yeah, I kind of who was it? Vanessa. She read out an apology, and nobody was buying it. It was literally like half a page. It was like a paragraph and a half, and it was just like, you could have kept that. Like, we didn't actually need to see this. Then lastly, we have Yoly and Xander, and they spoke very highly of each other, and we knew that was coming. We knew that that's what they were going to do. I do feel like they kind of fluffed it for the camera. Or who was it? Vanessa had asked um, like we know that you had like an emotional connection, but did you also have a physical connection? Um, and then like Vanessa mentions like, yeah, like we shared, like Ray and I shared what had happened, and Yoly's like, that is your decision, you made that decision, I'm not making that decision, we're moving on. We're moving on past this. And so they it was just kind of like, we're going right past that. We can assume, or they could probably assume that that is what happened, but it is what it is. But you have Lexi and Ray returning back to their apartments, and they're talking, and basically Lexi is not letting up. Like, she is just like, this is not what I wanted, this is not what I expected, I don't know how comfortable I am in this, like I don't like the situation that you put us in, basically. And I just gotta say, like, from what Ray says, Ray did not want to be she didn't want to do this. Like, she didn't want to be on TV. Like, it took her a while to agree to do this. So how can you get mad at someone when this is your idea? There's another creator called Tammy Talks, and she's literally like, don't play with your relationship, and that's exactly what I feel like happened here. I can understand why Lexi would be upset, because this is something upsetting, especially because by her words, and Ray doesn't disagree, Ray is the one who said, I'm not going to have like a physical relationship with anyone, you don't have to worry. Ray is the one who said those things. Lexi didn't put her up to it. So to go back on your word for something meaningless that you and the other person acknowledge, like it didn't mean anything, like, I don't know, I feel like it's worse for me personally, sidebar, I feel like it's worse to cheat and it mean nothing than to actually have a relationship with someone. Because if you actually had feelings for the other person, I could understand that more. I can understand the reasoning more than just someone being like, oh, that didn't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's way worse. I'm not staying with you either way, but at least have like a valid reason rather than we're here, why not? Like, you know what I mean? But anyway, it ends with like Ray just kind of being like, I'm gonna stay on the couch. Like, the disagreement continues. Then we move on to Xander and Vanessa. They're sitting down, they're having a conversation, and we are seeing Vanessa realize, and I think also at the decision day table, I think we're starting to realize, or Vanessa is starting to realize, that Xander is a lot more far gone than what she ever imagined could happen. And I think at the very beginning, Vanessa was very much like, oh, like, if Xander didn't have me, she would be asexual, or they would be asexual, and they would never do anything. I don't really have anything to worry about. The argument and the reason why everyone was upset with her in the beginning, right? Because of that, because I guess of that, like, self-assuredness that nothing would ever happen with Xander and anyone else, because of that, I think Vanessa is shook. like she's totally and completely shook by the entire situation. And I never saw Vanessa as like a villain. I think she was just kind of annoying. And like she was like putting on a show, like main character energy, but I didn't think that she was like necessarily a bad person. And this situation like kind of makes me feel bad for her, but also her ego is crazy. Anyway, moving on, we have Yoly and Mal, and they're coming back again. Like, they're sitting down, they're having a conversation, and Yoly kind of breaks down what is happening. She does admit that her and Xander did have a physical relationship as well. Mal is understandably upset, and she's basically saying, like, I love you. I wanted a relationship with you. I wanted a future with you. I wanted a family with you. I just wanted to be prepared prior to doing that. And you brought me on this show. You gave me this ultimatum because you wanted to marry me, and now you're saying in 3 weeks that you want someone else, or that you fell in love with someone else. And this, again, exactly what I'm saying, Mal was right. Mal has been right. Mal called it from the very beginning. Mal said, I don't know if Yoly wants marriage with me or if she just wants marriage. That was something. And then she also said, or Mal also said, Yoly will fall in love with whoever is in front of her, what makes me so different than everyone else? What makes me so different than everyone else? And this is exactly exactly what Mal was saying. It's been 3 weeks. Again, it's the premise of the show, right? But it's been 3 weeks, and you have fallen in love with another person, and you see a future with another person. I don't know. I feel like Yoly is the drama, but she plays the game well enough that people, like, she's good with her words, and like that's what I'm noticing, right? Like, because if you do messed up stuff but you use nice flowery words, or like, people don't see it as like the same thing, and like that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm getting at. Like, Malice saying, like, I still see you as home, but I see someone else in my house, like stuff like that. I'm like, it's words, like it's words, like all it is words. It's just flowery, like, just like jargon, like it doesn't mean anything. And while I do like Yoly, I think, I don't know, I'm starting to like her less and less, like, TBH. And also, this goes, I do want to mention, like, the whole thing of, like, her, like, really getting on to Vanessa for what Vanessa and Ray decided to do. Meanwhile, she's literally in a whole, like, emotional connection and physical relationship with Xander and doesn't feel bad about it. Meanwhile, getting on Vanessa and Ray and saying that they're bad people. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. It's whatever. Then we move on to Aussie and Sam. They actually look really happy. It's probably the happiest we've seen Aussie in a while. They they seem to have, like, being they seem to be having a good conversation, until Sam brings up Mildred, and then that makes Aussie triggered. Like triggered to the point that she's, again, like deading the conversation, does not want to talk about it. And like, Sam is saying, like, yeah, like, I learned from Tiff, like, I need to, like, stand up for myself, right? And this ends with, like, Aussie kind of, like, leaving and, like, going into a, like, a closed room, like the bathroom or something, and, like, you can hear her crying, right? And there's, like, a one on, like, a off screen, not off screen, but like a side interview with Sam, and Sam's basically saying, like, I know that I know I deserve better than what has been happening, so I'm going, like, even if it causes, this conversation, like, I know that I can do this. I know I can do better. I deserve better, and I need to know my self-worth. And that's how, Sam feels about the situation. It does seem kind of cold because Ozzy's literally in the corner, like, hiding and crying, and you have, like, this, like side interview with Sam, but I don't I don't view Sam in a negative light, and I also don't view Ozzy in a negative light. I honestly feel like Ozzy desperately needs therapy. And I say this because, someone wrote it in a previous comment, but, like, it really looks as if, like, the confrontation is very triggering for her, and it's more than likely because of something that happened to her as a child. Again, I am not a psychologist. I'm not diagnosing her with anything. I do not know Ozzy, in person. This is my hypothesis, and something that someone else also said in the comments. But I went back and I watched, the conversation of them coming back from the night out, and Ozzy and Mildred, and, like, you could see it. And, like Mildred's getting more and more upset, and, Ozzy's like, yes, like, you're a great person, and, like, you're right, and, like, she's slow, like, if you can literally see her shrinking in on herself from, like, when she first comes in, she's really happy, whatever, she sits down, she's kind of, like, big, she's, like, comfortable in the space, and then as Mildred is talking and wants to go back to the, like, previous conversation that they had prior to, the event, like, you start to see her, she is no longer looking Mildred in the eyes, she's looking down, she's, like, starting to shrink herself down. Her voice becomes, like, smaller and smaller, like, and then it becomes, like, just, like, appeasement, right? And, I agree. Again, I do not know her in person, but I think there is something to that theory, and I do think, I've said in the previous videos, everyone needs therapy, they should be in couples counseling, yay. Then we move on to Ray and Lexi. They're at the beach. They're talking, and again, like Lexi's not letting Ray get away with it. It doesn't really matter what Ray says. Lexi doesn't believe it, and she's not going to believe it. And I, I honestly I don't know how to feel. I guess I've never really been in a situation where there's someone has cheated, and I have to sit there and continue having conversations with them about it. Um, and I think that that has to be like really hard to do. But then I also, if you do make that, I don't think it's a mistake. Quite honestly, like it is what it is. Like you make the decision that you made, right? But I don't know how you can appease that. Like you can't appease the other person, and Lexi, quite frankly, will not accept anything that Ray says. So I don't know. Um, for Ray still showing up and trying to talk and trying to have conversations, I will give her props for that. But that's just like a really messy situation. And some people will say that, oh, like Lexi's bullying Ray, and I don't see it that way. Because if it was anyone else, if the same action had happened, but it was someone who wasn't as, I guess, like unique as Ray, Lexi's approach and the way Lexi was is would be the same, or not the same, but like people would say like, yeah, she's right. But because Ray is like smaller and kind of like insecure and crying and stuff like that, like it's a whole thing. I don't think Lexi's wrong, and I think I commend Ray for like trying to sit and have a conversation, not just running away, but still. Anyway, then we move on to um, who is it? Like Mal and Yoly. They're sitting there having conversation, and it's just not. I don't know. I don't really care. I feel like Yoly is the drama, and it is what it is. Then we are on to Xander and Vanessa, and they're sitting there. Vanessa says that she went through Xander's phone, and she saw that Xander had still been keeping in contact with Yoly, even though they are technically in their child marriage. And she's saying like it's not really fair to me because when we did the trial marriage and you were with Yoly, you did not talk to me at all. Like you had no contact with me. And then we're in our trial marriage now, and like you're sending text messages and like you're sending selfies and pictures of each other, like to each other. Like it's not really fair. And the conversation, like I guess they come to a like an agreement about that, and the conversation ends with Vanessa saying like I love you, and Xander does not say it back like at all. Like she's kind of like not just kind of dodging it, she's really dodging it, and it's really uncomfortable and it's really sad. And I honestly I don't even know like how do like I don't know how you resolve such a conversation, not a conversation with such a situation. Then we move on to Mildred and Tiff. They're meeting up with Natasha again. Natasha's so fine. She's so fine. Oh my god. They need to bring. She should just be the host, honestly. But anyway, Natasha's sitting there like they're having conversation. Apparently, this is like one of the first times that Natasha has met Mildred, which is kind of confusing to me. I guess I don't know where everyone is from, and I don't know if they're being flown in for this or something like that. I just think it's weird that they haven't met before. But Mildred or Natasha does know of Mildred and how things go. But we see when they're together, we see how much like Mildred will not let Tiff speak. Sorry, like they cannot get a word in. Mildred is always like speaking like interrupting, speaking over them. And Natasha is like, do you know, like you said, like you were on and off again, like do you know how many times you've broken up? And Mildred says it proudly, and Mildred's like, oh yeah, like Tiff knows. And Tiff gives like the hypothesis like, oh, like we probably broke up once a week and we've been dating for over a year, so we've probably broken up at least like 50 times. And I'm just like, they shouldn't even be on the show. Like I get like people sign up for shows like generally like they do whatever, but if Mildred's goal is marriage and you're saying like you're kind of like haha joking about the fact that you've broken up more than 50 times in a year and a half, it's absolutely absurd. On top of that, like Mildred has a kid. Like what is the I don't want to be like Mildred's a bad mother, but what does stability look like for the child in this situation? Like, I don't really understand it. Like, I think it's not a good situation. It's really not a good situation. And then we move on to, there is like a little scene with Sam and Aussie again, but like again, not much is really going on with them. But then we move on to Ray and Lexi, and they're meeting up with Lexi's parents. And again, Lexi is talking about the fact that Ray was intimate with someone else. And again, the parents bring up the fact that they're on break. Again, they're bringing it up. Like they said it in when Mal and Lexi were meeting with them, and they're saying it again now. Like, you were technically not together, so like basically it's trying to calm down the situation. But Lexi again is like, I didn't even ask for this. Like, I'm not the one who asked for this. I'm not the one who said you couldn't do XYZ. I didn't do any of that. She brought it up. Or like, she brought it up. She's the one who said, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do XYZ. Like, you have to believe me, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're the one who did that, and you still did it. So it doesn't even matter if we were on a quote unquote break. You went back on your word. And it's going on and on. It's a it's a very awkward situation. Again, I commend Ray for not running away, because I personally am not strong enough to sit there while my partner berates me in front of their parents for a mistake that I made. I did make the mistake, but I couldn't deal with that situation. So I commend Ray for that, but it's a mess. And again, there was a question that like Lexi asked, and she was just like, what did you think was going to happen? And that's my question. What did you think was going to happen? Like you, if you were together for 3 years, you know how Lexi is. Like, you already know. So what did you think was going to happen? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. The decisions that you make are the decisions that you make, but it's so confusing. The episode ends with Xander and Vanessa. They are going, or Vanessa's like surprising Xander, and they end up on a hot air balloon. And on the hot air balloon, Vanessa has another note. She has another piece of writing that she reads out, and it's much more heartfelt than the apology from the very beginning of the episode. And she's basically just like apologizing for like the last 4 years, and she says that the reason, like basically she said that the reason, I guess, like why she wasn't as close is because for the past 4 years she's been basically waiting for the other shoe to drop. And she apologizes for that and like hopes that they can like start anew. And Xander doesn't necessarily agree to like completely starting anew, but the ending agreement is that they like Xander well, I guess like cease communications with like Yoly and other people while they're in the trial marriage, and it's like focus on us, like focus on this trial marriage while we're here. And that's how the episode ends, with them coming off the hot air balloon at sunset. It's a beautiful scene, absolutely great color grading, cinematography. Anyway, for a reality show, wow. Anyway, that's how the episode ends. It's honestly a mess. It's 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 a mess. But it's great, and I think that this feels more real, and it feels more like an actual, like, different ways that like relationships play out than the previous season. Like I don't know, I feel like the previous season was just kind of like drama full, but this season they feel more natural. It feels more real. It feels more like this would happen, not necessarily like dating a bunch of people and then like switching partners, whatever, that part, not that, but like the way that they're playing out, the way that people aren't great at communication, like people need help, like people make mistakes. How do you deal with that? Can you deal with that? What are the questions around that? Like it's all really nice. And while it is messy, and while I don't agree with everything that everyone is doing, I do agree that this is real life, and it's great. Overall, I think that this season is the best by far. I've also seen the French version. This French version was just absolutely crazy. But this one feels more messy but real life. Anyway, I'm gonna end here. I hope that you guys have been commenting along. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. It helped me with the algorithm so I can like get up in like the search results and that type of thing. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you would like, and I'll see you next time for episode 7. Okay, so bye bye.